Well, every story has a turning point. Mine came little earlier than I expected. At the age of 17, while most of my friends were figuring out life, I found myself standing in front of a classroom. Well, not as a student, but as a teacher. And that very moment changed everything in my life. But before I tell you how, let me say this. This video isn't just about me. Please stay till the end because you might just see a reflection of your own story in mine. Fortunately, by the age of 20, I was guiding hundreds of students every year. People thought my strength was mathematics. But the truth, it was not only mathematics, it was also about mindset. When I saw those kids freeze, not because they did not know formulas, because they believed they could not, and with all empathy, when that belief was shifted, I felt everything else easily shifted. Their confidence shifted, attitude shifted, life shifted, and their marks upgraded. On paper, I was a maths teacher, but in reality, I was already becoming a mindset coach. In the same phase of my journey, at the age of 18, I entered a new world where most people avoid, and that was selling life insurance. Well, by the end of the first year, by the grace of God, I was named as the salesman of the year. Again, my dear friends, the real story wasn't about policy. It was all about people. Conversation about fear, conversation about uncertainty, about family and dreams. I felt I wasn't selling, I was listening. I wasn't convincing, I was connecting. And that's when I understood my core strength. And that was stepping into someone's mind, seeing what they feel, and help them see it differently. Years later in my career, I built an IT staffing company in India. It was thriving and doing reasonably well until January the 12th, 2008, Black Monday, the famous US recession happened. Almost overnight, all our US clients disappeared. I remember staring at those numbers and thinking that this could be the end. But as people always believe that necessity is the mother of all invention, it was my strong belief that crisis is the father of all opportunity. And so it happened. I observed that, I noticed that oil prices increased, it soared. So while most looked west, we decided to look east. Hence, we moved to Oman, a Gulf country, and in a few years, built a multi-million-dollar business out there. So here's what again no one saw. The success wasn't in contracts or strategy. It was in people, understanding employees, understanding clients, understanding their fears. That mindset made all the difference. Looking back now, I can see the thread. Whether it was teenagers in classrooms, family buying insurance, or employees and clients in Oman, I was always doing one thing: coaching when it looked like teaching, healing when it looked like listening, and transforming when it actually looked like business. Then the famous event of our journey, COVID, arrived in 2020. The world shut down for the first time. And for the first time, the silent battles I have seen for decades were no longer silent. I experienced anxiety was visible, fear was visible, loneliness was visible. And I knew I could not just stand by, I could not just keep building businesses. This was the moment to fully step into what I had been quietly doing for years now. So I leaned in completely, helping people move from fear to freedom, from stuck to hopeful, from heavy to alive. And every time I see someone walk in burdened and walk out lighter, freer, more alive, I knew this. This is what I was meant to do. Of course, none of this was ever alone. Every risk, every leap, every turn, my wife and 2 kids were always beside me, like my pillar, like my compass, my anchor, my real why. Without them, this story would not exist. So finally, what did life teach me? Well, it taught me a very important lesson, that the outer success without inner peace feels absolutely empty. People don't really break because of money. They break because of emotions. Anxiety that never leaves. Shame that eats them inside. Loneliness that nobody sees. Hence, my dear friend, this channel exists not to lecture, not to preach, but to share stories backed with science, stories that shift your mindset, stories that make you pause, reflect, and maybe see yourself differently. So finally, to conclude, that's my hello. A hello from a teacher who turned belief into confidence an entrepreneur who built companies through trust, and now a mindset coach and a storyteller. So, if you are curious about stories and strategies that can change the way we think, feel, and live, please hit subscribe, say hello in the comments, and join me, because maybe the next story I tell will be yours. Thank you.